No one in the office noticed when Lena Carter stopped typing. The room was alive with quiet sounds, keyboards, distant phones, the hum of the city beyond the glass walls. But Lena's hands froze above her laptop, as if something inside her had finally snapped. She had rehearsed this moment all night. Not the apology, not the excuses, but the sentence that would change everything. Across the office, behind a closed glass door, Mr. Hale was finishing a call. Calm. Controlled. Always precise. A man known for structure, order, and consequences. Everyone else feared that room. Lena stepped into it on purpose. When she knocked, he didn't look up right away. "Come in," he said, voice neutral. She entered and closed the door behind her. The click sounded louder than it should have. Mr. Hale finally raised his eyes. "You asked for a private meeting. Sit." She didn't. "I made a mistake," Lena said. Straight to it. No trembling voice. No tears. That alone made him pause. "Yes," he replied slowly. "You did." The report had been altered. Numbers adjusted. Not to steal. Not to sabotage. To make something look better than it was. A small lie. Until it wasn't. Most employees begged when caught. Lena didn't. "I'm not here to deny it," she continued, "or to ask for understanding." That was when his expression changed. "What are you asking for then?" he asked. Lena inhaled. This was the line she had practiced in the dark. "I'm asking you to decide the consequence." Silence filled the room. Outside the glass walls, the office moved on, unaware that something irreversible had just begun. Mr. Hale leaned back in his chair, studying her like a problem with no obvious solution. "You understand what you're saying," he said. It wasn't a question. "Yes." "You're aware that HR exists for this reason?" "Yes." "Then why come to me?" Lena finally sat down. Slowly. Deliberately. "Because HR turns mistakes into paperwork," she said. "And paperwork doesn't change people." That earned her a long look. Mr. Hale stood and walked toward the window, hands clasped behind his back. The city lights reflected faintly in the glass, sharp and distant. "Do you believe discipline is about punishment?" he asked. Lena hesitated. "I believe it's about accountability." "And control?" She swallowed. "Sometimes." He turned back to her. "What you're asking for," he said carefully, "is not standard procedure." "I know. And once started," he added, "it can't be undone." Lena nodded. "That's why I'm here." For the first time since she'd entered the room, her confidence cracked, just slightly. Enough to be human. Mr. Hale returned to his desk and opened a folder. Not HR forms. Something else. Personal. Old. "Stand up," he said. Her heart jumped, but she obeyed. "This is not a game," he continued. "This is not a performance. If at any moment you want to stop, you will say so. Clearly. Do you understand?" "Yes." He closed the folder without showing her what was inside. "Then we proceed," he said. "Not today, but soon." Lena felt a strange mix of relief and fear collide in her chest. She had asked for consequences. She just didn't yet know what form they would take. And neither did anyone else. The email arrived at 6:12 a.m. No greeting. No explanation. Just a time. 7:30 p.m. Conference room B alone. Lena stared at the screen longer than she needed to. All day, the office felt different. Or maybe, it was just her. Every glance from coworkers felt sharper. Every whisper sounded like it carried her name. No one knew what she had done, at least not officially. But something in her posture had changed. She was quieter. Straighter. Waiting. Waiting. Mr. Hale didn't look at her once during the day. That unsettled her more than anger would have. At 7:27 p.m., the office was nearly empty. Lights dimmed. The city outside turning dark and reflective. Conference room B was at the far end of the corridor. She walked there slowly. Each step felt like she was crossing a line she couldn't redraw. The door was slightly open. Inside, the room was rearranged. The long meeting table had been pushed aside. Only 2 chairs remained, facing each other. Close. Mr. Hale stood near the window, sleeves rolled to his forearms. Not casual, but not fully formal either. He closed the door behind her. "No phones," he said calmly. She placed hers on the table outside the room without protest. When she returned, he gestured to the chair. "Sit." She did. For a moment, neither spoke. Then, he placed a thin folder between them. "These are the terms," he said. Lena didn't touch it. "What kind of terms?" she asked quietly. "Discipline without humiliation. Accountability without spectacle. Private, structured. Voluntary." Voluntary. The word echoed louder than the others. "You can leave," he added. "Right now. No record beyond standard review, no escalation." He was giving her an exit. She didn't take it. "What does this involve?" she asked instead. "Correction through responsibility," he replied. "You will rebuild the report, line by line, after hours, under supervision." Her breath slowed. "That's it?" His eyes narrowed slightly. "No." The silence thickened. "You will submit weekly evaluations," he continued. "Off your own work, your decisions, your integrity. I will review them." That wasn't punishment. It was exposure. "And if I fail?" she asked. He leaned forward. "Then, consequences increase." Her pulse quickened. "Increase how?" "Pressure," he said evenly. "Deadlines. Expectations. Direct oversight. Until either improvement happens, or something breaks." Something breaks. The words lingered between them. "This is psychological," Lena said. "Yes." "And personal." "Yes." "Why?" she asked, unable to stop herself. Mr. Hale studied her carefully. "Because you asked for consequences," he said. "Not paperwork." He slid the folder closer. "You sign. We begin tonight." Her fingers hovered above the page. This wasn't HR. This wasn't suspension. This was surrendering control. But it was her choice. She signed. The pen felt heavier than it should have. Mr. Hale stood. "Good," he said. "Then we start now." The next 3 hours were relentless. He sat beside her, not across from her. Close enough that she could feel his presence. Not touching. Never inappropriate. Just there. Every number she entered was questioned. "Why this figure?" "Explain this assumption." "Say it clearly." No vague language. Her confidence began to erode under the precision of his scrutiny. At 10:48 p.m., she made a small error. He didn't raise his voice. He simply said, "Start that section again. From the beginning." Her jaw tightened. "You're testing endurance," she whispered. "I'm testing integrity," he corrected. When she finally finished, it was past midnight. The corrected report sat between them. Clean. Accurate. Brutal in its honesty. He closed his laptop. "This is only week 1, he said. Week 1. Lena realized something chilling. She had imagined a moment of punishment. A scene. A consequence. An ending. Instead, she had agreed to a process. And processes don't end quickly. As she walked out into the empty parking lot, exhaustion mixed with something she didn't expect. Relief. But beneath it, a question she couldn't ignore. Was she rebuilding her integrity? Or slowly handing him control over who she became? By the third week, Lena stopped checking the clock. Because time no longer mattered. What mattered was the sound of Mr. Hale's voice behind her shoulder. Calm. Why? Precise. Unshakable. The office had begun to notice something. She stayed late every night. Left alone. Returned early. Her reports were flawless now. Almost unnaturally clean. But perfection wasn't the point anymore. Control was. And Lena could feel it shifting. That evening, when she entered conference room B, the lights were dimmer than usual. Only the desk lamp was on, casting long shadows across the table. Mr. Hale didn't greet her. He handed her a printed evaluation. Her own words stared back at her. I take responsibility for altering the numbers because I feared failure more than dishonesty. He tapped the page. Read it out loud. Her stomach tightened. Why? She asked. Because accountability sounds different when spoken. She hesitated. He waited. And that silence, that unbearable patience, was worse than pressure. She began reading. Her voice was steady at first, then slower. Each sentence exposed something she hadn't realized she'd written so honestly. I believed I needed to appear competent at all costs. Stop, he said. She looked up. What does that mean? It means... She swallowed. I didn't trust my own performance. No, he corrected. It means you tied your worth to perception. The words hit harder than any reprimand. He wasn't attacking her mistake anymore. He was dissecting her. This process, she said quietly, was supposed to fix my work. It is, he replied. Your work reflects you. The air felt heavier. She shifted in her chair. Something had changed tonight. The supervision felt closer. The questions sharper. He stood and walked slowly around the table. Not threatening. Not aggressive. Just deliberate. Stand, he said. Her breath caught. She obeyed. He stepped in front of her. Not touching, but near enough that she felt the gravity of his presence. Look at me, he instructed. She did. For 3 weeks, he said calmly. You followed structure, accepted correction, endured scrutiny. But tonight, we address something else. Her pulse quickened. What? Why you needed this? The question felt more dangerous than any consequence. I told you, she whispered. I wanted accountability. No, he said softly. You wanted control taken away. The room went still. That's not true, she said quickly. Isn't it? His gaze didn't waver. You could have chosen HR. Suspension. A warning. I didn't want to escape it. And yet, he said, voice lowering, you've relaxed under pressure. That unsettled her. Because it was partially true. The structure. The strict oversight. The constant evaluation. It had quieted something chaotic inside her. I feel clearer, she admitted. Because decisions are no longer yours, he replied. The words sent a chill through her. Was that what this had become? She had thought she was proving strength. But maybe she was surrendering it. Sit, he said. She did. He returned to his chair. This ends when you choose it to end, he reminded her. You are not trapped. But the thought of stopping felt wrong now. Incomplete. What happens if I continue? She asked. Then the expectations rise, he answered. Not just professionally. Her eyes narrowed slightly. In what way? You begin leading junior staff. You teach what you learned. Under scrutiny. Responsibility layered on responsibility. Not punishment. Transformation. And yet the intensity of his presence, the authority in his voice, it blurred lines she didn't fully understand. Was she rebuilding herself, or reshaping herself under someone else's design? He leaned back slightly. Tell me something honestly, Lena. She waited. If I had simply reported you to her, would you have changed? She didn't answer right away, because she knew the truth. No, she said quietly. The room fell silent again. But this silence felt different, less controlled, more uncertain. Mr. Hale looked at her longer than usual. Good, he said finally. Then next week, we escalate. Escalate. The word lingered, like a warning. As Lena left the building that night, she felt something new beneath the exhaustion. Not fear, anticipation. And that frightened her more than anything. The escalation didn't begin with pressure. It began with silence. On Monday morning, Lena arrived early, as usual. Conference room B was empty. No email. No instructions. No 7:30 p.m. meeting. For the first time in 4 weeks, she didn't know what to expect. And that unsettled her more than supervision ever had. By noon, she had led her first junior review session. 2 new analysts sat across from her, nervous, unsure. She heard herself speaking the same words Mr. Hale had once said to her. Clarity over appearance. Explain your reasoning. No vague language. The tone in her voice surprised her. Firm. Calm. Controlled. The juniors listened carefully. Respected her. Feared disappointing her. That realization sent a quiet shock through her. After the session ended, she remained alone in the room, staring at the reflection of herself in the glass. Was this what escalation meant? Responsibility. Authority. Structure passed down. At 6:58 p.m., her phone finally buzzed. 7:30. My office. Hale? Not conference room. B. His office. That hadn't happened before. When she entered, the atmosphere felt different. The lights were softer. The city skyline brighter behind him. No folder on the desk. No papers. Just him. You handled the review well, he said without looking up. Thank you. He studied her carefully. You didn't hesitate. No. You didn't soften your feedback. No. A pause. Why? Lena considered that. Because they need structure, she said. Otherwise they repeat my mistake. His eyes held hers. And do you enjoy giving that structure? The question caught her off guard. She hesitated. It feels effective. Effective, he repeated slowly. He stood, walked around the desk. But this time, the energy felt different. Less corrective. More observant. You asked for consequences, he reminded her. But consequences were never the goal. Then what was? He stopped in front of her. Transfer. She frowned slightly. Transfer of what? Strength, he replied. The word landed heavier than expected. You think strength comes from pressure? She asked. No, he said quietly. Strength comes from choosing not to collapse under it. The room felt charged. Not threatening, but intense. You don't need me the way you did 4 weeks ago, he continued. That sentence hit deeper than anything else. Because she realized he was right. She wasn't waiting for instruction anymore. She wasn't shrinking under scrutiny. She was holding her ground. You're changing the terms, she said softly. I'm ending them. Her heart skipped. Ending? He nodded once. This was never meant to become dependence. Dependence. The word cut through her like cold air. Had she started relying on the structure? On him? You can walk out tonight, he said. No more after-hours supervision. No more oversight. She searched his face for something. Disappointment? Control? Possession? There was none. Only assessment. And something else. Respect. Doc, you said escalation, she reminded him. Yes. This is it. She didn't understand. This isn't pressure. she said. No, he replied. It's release. The power dynamic shifted in that instant. For weeks, she had stood in his shadow, under instruction, under evaluation. Now he was stepping back and leaving the space to her. The silence stretched. You're afraid, he observed calmly. She hated that he was right. Of what? She asked. Of not having someone to measure you anymore. The truth stung. Without pressure, would she stay disciplined? Without oversight, would she slip again? Or had she actually rebuilt something real? He stepped aside from the door. You asked for discipline, he said. You endured it. Now prove you don't need it. That was the final test. Not endurance. Independence. Lena walked toward the door slowly. Every step felt heavier than the late nights ever had. Before leaving, she turned back. And if I fail? She asked quietly. Mr. Hale didn't hesitate. Then it will be your decision, not mine. That was the difference. She walked out of his office alone. No instructions. No supervision. No structure waiting tomorrow night. Just her. And for the first time in weeks, the responsibility felt entirely hers again. The first night, without supervision, felt louder than any correction ever had. No 7:30 message. No conference room. No measured voice behind her shoulder. Just Lena, alone in her apartment. Laptop open. Report draft blinking on the screen. For a moment, her hands hovered above the keyboard. No one would check this. No one would question each number. No one would say, explain your reasoning. The temptation wasn't to lie. It was to relax. To cut a corner. To assume instead of verify. To trust that good enough was fine. Her chest tightened. That was where it had started. Weeks ago, she altered numbers because she feared looking incompetent. Now she feared something else. Silence. Without pressure, discipline had to come from within. She reopened the financial sheet and started again. Line by line. Careful. Exact. No shortcuts. No oversight. Just choice. And that's when she realized something terrifying and freeing at the same time. The pressure had never been the real test. Freedom was. The next week, the junior analysts approached her with questions. Not because they had to. Because they trusted her. One of them hesitated over a discrepancy in a report. It's small, he said. Probably won't matter. Lena looked at the numbers. The old version of herself would have agreed. The new one didn't. It matters, she said calmly. Fix it. He nodded immediately. No argument. No resistance. And in that moment, she understood something Mr. Hale had never directly said. Discipline isn't about control. It's about example. Friday afternoon, Mr. Hale called her into his office. Not for evaluation. Not for correction. For conversation. You've adjusted well, he said. I had to, she replied. He watched her carefully. No, he said. You chose to. There was no intensity in his tone now. No psychological edge. Just acknowledgement. You don't need the structure anymore, he continued. I know. And you don't need me enforcing it. The words felt different this time. Less threatening. More neutral. She met his gaze steadily. I never needed enforcement, she said quietly. I needed honesty. He considered that. And did you find it? She nodded once. Yes. There was a long pause. No tension. No power imbalance. Just two professionals who had walked through something difficult and come out altered. Then we're done, he said. Not coldly. Not dismissively. Simply complete. She stood. But before leaving, she asked the question that had lingered for weeks. Why did you agree? He didn't answer immediately. Because Most people want forgiveness, he said finally. You wanted responsibility. She absorbed that. Then she walked out. No fear. No anticipation. No dependence. Just clarity. Months later, no one in the office remembered the altered report, but they noticed Lena. Her standards were higher, her voice steadier, her leadership sharper. Not because someone stood behind her, but because she had learned what happened when no one did. Discipline had started as consequence. It ended as character. And that difference changed everything. If this story made you think about the difference between punishment and growth, like the video and tell us in the comments. Does pressure build strength? Or does strength only appear when pressure is gone? And remember, the stories we tell and the ones we listen to shape who we are. So take the lesson, carry it with you, and keep growing. Because even in the darkest moments, there's always something to learn, and a better version of ourselves waiting on the other side. If this story touched you, leave a like, drop a comment, and share it with someone who needs it. Let's spread these messages, one heart at a time. See you in the next story.